Well. Tottenham Hotspur 2, Manchester United 2 in the dying minutes. Matthijs de Ligt is able to rescue a point for us. Able to rescue a point when we were in a winning position. What a game it was. Well, what a second half it was, to be fair. Because in the first half, it was pretty much a slow burner. And it exploded into action, like I said, during that second half. But Bryan Mbeumo, our player of the month, that's 4 in 5 league games now for him. He is in red hot form for Manchester United, and we need some of the other attackers to join in on the apps, please. Thank you very much. But he's been playing brilliant recently. A clinical finish from Mbeumo, headed it into the back of the net from an Ahmad cross. Just absolutely sensational, and probably was an earned goal. We deserved that goal at that moment of time, and in the first half, we seemed to have a level of dominance during the game. Spurs, of course, had their moments. I believe when I was taking notes, if I can find the notes right now, I did write at some point in the first half that there is an air of openness for both teams to take an opportunity. And we did see that to a certain extent. That didn't mean we saw plenty of shots on goal and saves during that first period, because I think it took about after 30 minutes to get a shot on target, and that was Bryan Mbeumo's goal. Richarlison had a headed opportunity on the other end that he absolutely fluffed, and I guess that is the difference between the two. If we won this game, or it would have been completely different, I'll say it anyway, I would have probably said that's the difference between having a forward that is full of confidence and one that isn't. And we can speak about potentially one on our side that isn't exactly full of confidence in a little while. But Spurs, the reoccurring theme for them, despite scoring 2 goals today, was the fact that when they get into the final third, the execution is absolutely poor. And it's probably not for the first time this season. I've been seeing complaints across the board during some of these games. The Chelsea one, that was last week as well, before they got that 4-0 win against Copenhagen midweek, which was much needed, by the way. But just the quality that they have up front, and of course the lack of depth with all of the injuries that they're suffering from. But even with those injuries coming back into play, would they be a significantly better side? I'm not too sure about that. The big problem that, the big problem that happened today for Manchester United, and I've spoken about this in the past. I don't remember what game it was. It might have been when I last did the watch along, which was the Liverpool game. We're speaking about substitutions costing United. Now, in this case, I believe he brought in Mason Mount, Lenny Yoro, and who was the Manuel Ugarte. So Ruben Amorim made a triple substitution quite a while back. He brought in Benjamin Šeško earlier on in the half, who actually went off injured towards the end of the game in a one-on-one opportunity that he just took too long to execute in. But yeah, he brought on Lenny Yoro, who came on for Harry Maguire, who seemed to do his hamstring. So that was a needed substitution. Manuel Ugarte and Mason Mount. Now, at that point of the game, you could have probably said, you know what, we need some sort of substitutions to reinvigorate this team's performance, because we were flagging heavily. Absolutely flagging. At the start of the second half, Tottenham showed their intentions. 2 fantastic saves from Senna Lamens to keep them out from close range, and those are just magnifications of what could have been if those 2 goals went in. It could have been a lot worse for Manchester United, but thankfully Lamens got those 2 saves, and Spurs lacked in terms of their execution in the final third for the most part, until the latter stages where Matthijs Tel gets the equaliser, and then you're like, oh my goodness, you're like, oh my word, what's about to happen? You're worried because we're going into the latter stages of the game, we're going into added time, and then Richarlison happens. And then like the contrast, right? In the first half, he has that good opportunity, crossing from Brennan Johnson, and the ball comes off his shoulder instead of glancing off his head and into the back of the net, or at least on target towards goal. But this one is absolutely instinctive. He doesn't have to think of it at all. Corner kick, he gets cleared initially, and I believe the substitute Odobert just towards goal. It's not even a cross. It's not a delivery into the area. It's a straight on strike towards goal to see if he can get the ball in the back of the net and be Spurs' hero. It has enough pace on it for Richarlison to be in the right spot. He has his back to goal and he just glances it intentionally, just glances it. Lamens had no chance right in the left-hand corner of the goal. It was absolutely brilliant. But then it was like, my goodness, what a capitulation. And it had been coming once again, because that performance from Manchester United, even with the substitutions in game, there was minimal change, if any. If any. I don't remember seeing an impact at all. One thing I did say is that Manchester United's best outlet to potentially get a second goal before the equaliser even came was one of those direct long balls over the top to Benjamin Šeško, or there was a sequence where Mbeumo was able to knock it on, Šeško runs onto the ball, or he spins the defender, play it over the top, see what he can do. And there was a late game sequence where we could have actually won the game with Mason Mount and Benjamin Šeško combining. Šeško's through on goal, basically one-on-one with Vicario, but he just takes too long. He tries to open up his body and side foot it with his right foot, but with that one, and I haven't looked at it again, the replay. So you guys can give your opinions in the comments as well, based off of what you thought about that particular opportunity. But I just thought, as the ball comes to Šeško, instead of taking a touch, opening up your body and allowing Mickey van der Ven to have that window, that added window to come in and save the day, and it was a spectacular slide tackle. But in that case, let the ball run across from you, use your left peg, try and get it through the goalkeeper's legs and see what happens. Because that way, you take Mickey van der Ven completely out of the game. He doesn't have, even though he has the pace to get back into the play, that angle of winning the tackle and going in for it is a lot more difficult. And I don't think he can get there in that sense without taking Benjamin Šeško out completely and then giving Manchester United a penalty. So I think that was probably a moment that he'll be most disappointed with, and hopefully he's fine. He had to walk straight down the tunnel after that challenge towards the end of the game, and we finished with 10 men. Thankfully, there was a last minute winner. But before I get into anything else, I'm hearing from the grapevine that we got Cappy on the line from somewhere. Don't know where he is, but Cappy, what have you got to say about the game? What's your report? You know what? It was a pretty uneventful game in the first half until our player of the month, Brian Mbeumo, used his noggin effectively from an Ahmad cross. Things seemed like they were going to go from bad to worse for the home team as they lacked the true quality and execution. That at times carried on in the second half, bar some moments where Spurs forced Senne Lammers into action with 2 excellent saves to kick off the second period. Even with substitutions, however, United couldn't find the pace required to keep up with their opponents in the second half. It was a truly horrifying performance during that second half, with the ultimate capitulation being saved for the dying embers, with Matthias Tel and Richarlison sensationally taking all 3 points. At least that's what they thought. Final minute of the 6th added on. Corner kick to the Red Devils. Step up Matthias de Ligt. Back post header. Vicario didn't have the wrist strength to stop the ball from crossing the line. A quite remarkable conclusion to this game, with both managers probably feeling like they both gained and lost. CM, back to you. Yeah, man. He basically summed everything up spectacularly. I'm not gonna lie. A truly extraordinary and chaotic finish to the game. One that preserves Manchester United's unbeaten run, unbeaten in 5 league games now. 5. That's 3 wins and 2 draws. So back-to-back draws. If I'm back-to-back draws now. And we'll see what happens. You're looking at Manchester United's upcoming schedule. Because I've been off it recently, I'm not gonna lie, but we've got Everton next weekend, 24th of November. That is a weekend, right? 24th of November. No, that's actually a Monday night game. So we've got a couple of weeks actually. Yeah, a couple of weeks. Is it international? Oh, bloody. That's me just finding out there's an international break. Oh. Yeah, I saw the England squad come out the other day, the final international break of the year. Oh well. But yeah, couple weeks time. What's good, kids? Couple weeks time. Monday night football against Everton. Back at home, back at Old Trafford. We'll see how that goes. But now we've got to kind of ponder on what could have been, what went wrong, what went right for the next 2 weeks as players go off on their internationals. And then we'll have Crystal Palace on the 30th. So a couple of tricky fixtures coming up next. But you expect Manchester United in the form that they are in, because I'd say we're in decent to good form right now, based off of how we're playing. I was having a conversation with somebody I was watching a game with off camera, and she was basically saying, you know, we're gelling. This team is gelling now. And I have to agree. We're seeing better things from this United team in terms of their ability to hold on to possession, to combine with each other and carve out opportunities. It isn't always there, and the second half was a great example of that. But I think if we continue to develop in this same vein, then good things will come of it. We just need to be a lot more clinical and intentional at times, and know when to take the sting out of games, but when also to go for the jugular and take the game by the scruff of its neck. Because I think today's game, is a fantastic example of one that we had control of and couldn't regain control once Spurs sorted their stuff out and really, really became aggressive. Put themselves on the front foot at home with the crowd behind them. How do we now, as the away side, adjust from management to coaching staff and the players? How do we all adjust to then counteract what our opposition were able to do within that 15-minute period of change? So that's a big question that goes out to Ruben Amorim. Big question that goes out, of course, to the players who will have to eventually execute that on the pitch when that Everton game comes around. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you thought of the game in the comment section below. And how you're feeling headed into the international break. Manchester United are 5 games unbeaten. Manchester United drew 2-2 and rescued a point late on against Tottenham Hotspur at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Share to your friends and frenemies. And until the next time, I'll see you lot sinner. Keep calm, composed, and just know your role when the Don's inside. Better hide what you're stashing. On the field, just one ball dominates. 22 egos fighting to tag in. Rough and rugged. It's like old school.